just first off, your initial thoughts and feelings reflecting on these past 20 weeks.
Yeah, look, I'm I'm happy with what we delivered this year because, one of the things that I do at the end of the program in the last sort of week is I get around to all the players and I do an exit interview with each of the players and actually get their feeling of their experience and things they've learned. And I sort of, put my 2 bits worth in what I've seen and across the board, I think the players feel happy with what they've got or their time out here. And I think the other thing is it's opened their eyes to a lot more different things that they need to work on with their development as a cricketer. And I'm so probably talking more the stuff above the shoulders. I think they've probably had a lot of technical work up to this point, but I think they're understanding there's far more for them to work on to be the best that they can. I think it's certainly opened their eyes and giving them a bit more of a foundation to work on those areas moving forward. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the way things went out here in Australia. We had we didn't lose a lot of cricket. We had a pretty good summer weather-wise, so in terms of all that, we had a good bunch of cricketers out here from different parts of the world. They all got on well together. So, it was a really enjoyable, 20 weeks.
And obviously you've been doing this program now for over 15 years and you've seen and helped hundreds of different cricketers, many of which have gone on to enjoy strong professional careers. How does this group of players compare to different ones that you've had and how have they differed mentally, physically to other ones?
Yeah, look, I suppose I've been lucky in the past. I mean, we had a relationship with the ECB, so we had some pretty good cricketers coming out who are already sort of a fair way down the pathway, I guess, and in around county systems and high performance systems when they came out. And obviously Joe was one of those. We don't seem to see as many of those now. That a lot of the players that are coming out are sort of out of the school programs and gap year programs and have had a bit of experience in underage cricket in county systems, but they really haven't sort of stepped in. And I suppose a lot of the ones we're getting now actually are looking to use this program to actually step into the professional, sort of environment. So, we've had the odd one. I mean, this year we had a couple of lads from South Africa who are in the underage systems in South Africa, and just interesting their background and what they're getting coached and, how that's a little bit different to the English system and that sort of thing. So, yeah, look, I think the lads we've had over certainly this year and the last couple of years are more, they're not quite at that professional level or at that high performance level. They're sort of learning what are the requirements and how you go about things to become a professional cricketer, I suppose. We talk a lot about high performance habits, what you do every day and developing those habits that, things become automatic to allow you to be the best you can every day. And a lot of the lads we've sort of, coming out of the school systems, they haven't really developed those things yet. And I think the other thing that they find really different coming out here, training in this program is training every day. It's while they're playing cricket and that in England, they're not doing it every day, and the varied different aspects of developing a cricket that we expose them to. So yeah, we're probably now a lot of the cricketers we're getting is a step before they're getting into that more professional environment.
And obviously, quite a lot of the players, predominantly all of them, stayed on to do the full 20 weeks, especially in this season. How challenging is that for young cricketers who are going out of their comfort zones to do something very new to them?
Oh, it's very challenging. I think almost the biggest thing is actually just leaving home on your own and not knowing what you're stepping into. I think that's a massive challenge mentally. because you don't really know how it's all going to unravel. They're all used to having certain familiarity around themselves with friends and teammates and coaches and family and all that. And all of a sudden that stuff's stripped away. And they've sort of got to step out on their own and find their way. And I think it's really, really important for a young cricketer to be exposed to that, because you've really got to work out what makes yourself tick. And the only way you're going to do that is you've got to expose yourself. One of our philosophies is getting uncomfortable, and because you just don't find improvement in comfort. So, so much of you being the best you can be comes back to you, the person. So, I think the other thing that really happens, Dan, is that, when you get told things or the coach is telling you things back where you're from, I think it's a lot different when you're actually on the other side of the world and you're getting told those things, because I think the fact you're getting on a plane and flying across the other side of the world, you just automatically, your mind opens up to learning. I think sometimes at home you're not really open to learning because you're used to doing things in a certain way, and you sort of, you're getting told similar things, whereas all of a sudden, like, coming across the other side of the world to play cricket and train in cricket and develop, I think just automatically your mindset's different. And I certainly think, well, I know from what Joe said, like, when he looks back at his time when he was out here, the biggest thing that happened to him was his change in mindset. And, things are culturally different out here. The conditions are different. The Australian way is different, I suppose, to, you're still coaching cricket, but it's different. The fact you're an international or a foreign cricketer coming into a new country, just straight away there's a little bit of pressure on that, because you're coming out here to try and prove yourself as a cricketer. So there's a challenge in that, sort of finding your way in a new environment and stepping up and actually performing. So, and I think the other thing, Dan, that a lot of the cricketers find is a huge challenge is doing this over a long period of time. But if you want to be a professional cricketer, that's what you do. That's your job. Mm. And for a lot of these cricketers, that's a challenge, is to, you can do it for 3 or 4 weeks, but then you sort of do it over 20 weeks. It's very hard to be sort of, get up, go to training, go back to your apartment, cook your meals, do your washing, go to your club practice, and then the next day you go again and you go again and you go again, and things keep coming at you and you've got to deal with it. So I think the development of the person is massive, and the growing up of the person is massive. Mm. I always sort of say that I want them to go home as confident men or women, whatever the case may be.
Mm. And obviously planning is already well underway for the 2024-25 program, but just staying on this one now, and just to get your sort of overall thoughts and feelings about the cohort that we've had this year and how the program's gone, just reflecting on this for one last time.
Yeah, look, I mean, no program, everyone comes out into a program and is a superstar and, does really well. Some people adapt easier than others. This group, there were some cricketers that, I think we had, because last weekend was all the grand finals in the club competition in Adelaide. So I think there was 3 or 4 people that played in grand finals last weekend, and three of them won. So, they were highly valued and respected in their clubs and things like that, and I think in all those cases they really developed those individuals. So I don't know. It's a bit hard to sort of know how, when people go home, actually, that's when you really sort of find out how much people have developed. But yeah, generally speaking, like, and again, from my conversations with the players, like, I think in just about in all cases, they feel like that they've certainly got the tools in place and a better understanding of what requires for them to keep improving and keep developing and trying to be the best cricketer they can be. Look, the other thing to understand, Dan, I remember this years ago, is that so Sam Billings came out here, and everyone in England knows Sam Billings. And, you know, Sam struggled out. He didn't make a lot of runs. And he came out here with a huge reputation. And he'd just, you know, he burst onto the scene with Kent. He made a big 100 in a televised ODI, one-day game. And, you know, he sort of thought it was all going to sort of unravel for him. And he came out here and he struggled. And for him, it was a massive wake-up call that the game is not easy and you can't take your foot off the pedal. And the following year, I know he went under his own steam. He went out to Sydney and just sort of played club cricket. But it really was, for him, the fact he didn't do well was what he needed. Because you can get a bit carried away with things as a young player, thinking it's all going to sort of just unravel, and it doesn't work like that. And, you know, there has been cricketers that, as I said, have come out and big reputations and have struggled. And on the flip side, there's been very underrated cricketers who have actually gone really well, better than more highly rated cricketers. And it's really sort of progressed them a lot, sort of in their time out here. So it's very hard to sort of, you know, sort of put it into one sort of, everyone's different, I suppose, in how they go through it. But as I said, for me, the most important part about them coming out here, Dan, is that they can go home with a better understanding of how they can continue to improve. If they come out here and they might have improved, but then they don't know what to do next when they go home, to me, that's a waste of time. I want them to go home feeling that they have a better understanding of the things that they need to do and how they're going to go about things to continue to improve. For me, that's the biggest achievement for them.